What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Weapon Collective. Back down in the Gat Cave for what is going to be a fairly quick little video today. Got a couple new guns I wanted to share with you guys and go over them before I get them out to the range. Got a product that works with one of those that I was sent that is pretty cool. But before I get into any of that, I have some housekeeping that I need to take care of. So one of my most recent videos was the Cardinal Arms G2 versus the Fowler Industries Vanta 9. And I was talking about this gun, and side note, I love this gun. This gun is so awesome. But when I picked this thing up, I didn't know anything about it. It was what I considered to be a pretty big roll of the dice at the time, which turned out to be a jackpot. But there is still very little, there was very little information at the time, and it's just a newcomer to the 2011 space, and there's not a whole lot of information available out there. So I reached out to somebody that I consider to be an industry insider, reputable, and they provided me some information, and I repeated that on that video, and everything in it was accurate with the exception of one huge inaccuracy, which is I claimed that the sister company of Cardinal Arms, Optimum Manufacturing, which makes parts for other 2011 manufacturers, did in fact make some parts for Infinity. And that is absolutely not the case. Infinity makes 100% of their parts in-house, including springs, including screws. They make everything on the gun. And I feel really stupid about making that kind of a mistake. I thought it was odd, but I just repeated what the information I was provided. But at the end of the day, I am 100% responsible for any statements made on my channel, and I didn't do enough due diligence, and that is 100% on me. So my apologies to Infinity, to anybody that heard that and their jaw hit the floor because they were aware that it was a huge mistake. So I was contacted by a ton of viewers, and for that, I do appreciate it. Maybe it won't be so egregious, but there will inevitably be future mistakes. But please, when you see a mistake, hear a mistake, let me know. I want to be as accurate as I possibly can, but I am going to make mistakes. So I'm doing my best, but that one was a big one, and apologies. I'll put that to bed, but I just wanted to make that very clear. I made a mistake. Infinity makes all their own parts. So moving on from that, I'm going to move to one of the first new guns. And this one, I've been looking at this one for a little while. I did see it at SHOT Show, and I'll show you what preceded it that I have. And this is the Jacob Grey TWC 9. And I got this a little while back. 4¼ inch pistol. Nice little gun. Kind of, I would call it mid-tier. And then they came out with this one. So I just picked this up. This is the Jacob Grey TWC Hex. And this thing, it comes in black, which would look more like this one. Comes in this green, and then it comes in kind of a brown as well. So I ended up going with the green. This is the one I've seen the most, and I do like the combination with this rose gold titanium nitride barrel. I think that is a pretty good looking combo. And then with the green Aimpoint Acro P2, I think that matches fairly well. And then I threw a Surefire X300 on it like I do with all my pistols. But the reason I was interested in this gun, not because it's an updated version of this, which it is, but it is ported. So anybody that watches this channel knows I love my ported guns. I love my comp guns. And back to this Cardinal Arms. That's why I am so just impressed with this gun, is it's not comped, not ported, but it sure as heck shoots like it is. It's amazing. But anyhow, side note, the TWC Hex, it has updated trigger shoe anyway. You can see it's a different trigger shoe, but the grip, my problem with this gun was always this grip and that it has no texture on the grip right there. And I guess that is just, it's for concealed carry, not gonna rub up against you, but it makes it a little slick. The versions of these guns, this one came out first, and then the second gun was this, it was the TWC Black. And it came out with a new textured grip. And funny enough, the day I bought this, they released the black. I didn't know that, but it was just a coincidence that I bought the gun the day they released the gun that resolved the complaint I had about this gun. But I didn't know it. I bought this gun really on a whim, and if I'm being 100% honest, I bought this gun because it's called the TWC, the Weapon Collective, and it's just stupid, but that is really the impulse that made me get this gun. So I figured it's got my branding on it. I got to get that gun. So anyway, it's a good little gun. I don't shoot it that much. I need to get it out. I've never had this out on the range on the channel yet, but I will. And particularly now that I got the Hex, I think that'll be a good comparison to see how good or how noticeable the porting is, because they're pretty much the same gun with the exception of the porting and aesthetics and the grip. But it is an aluminum grip, CNC'd, and just has this cool texture on it, this hexagon, 4 1/4 inch. It got a 416R stainless steel barrel, bull barrel, and it is a pretty gun, but yet to shoot it, so we'll see. And the other thing I wanted to do real quick was do a trigger weight, because the way it feels, it feels like about 3 pounds to me, but this one feels heavier. Not much, but it does feel heavier. Oh, and the good thing they did from this to this is they pinned the grip safety, which I am not a fan of grip safeties. I would love it if all guns came with their grip safety pinned, with the exception of smaller carry guns, which this could be. So I'm sure there's people out there that like having the grip safety, but I don't carry a 2011. So for me, I want all my 2011s pinned. Okay, let's do some trigger weights on these things. So we'll start with the TWC 9, because this feels a little heavier than the Hex does. So let's see where it's coming in. 2.5. 2.5. We'll do 3 on each. And just a hair over 2.5. So we'll call this guy 2.5, which feels a tad heavier. I really don't know how accurate this one is. Should probably get a digital meter, but let's move. Oh, before I move on to that, let's try the Cardinal and just see. This thing should be, I mean, right at 2, maybe a hair under 2. One and a half. So, like I said, I don't know. This doesn't feel like quite 1.5. It's a fantastic trigger. I really dig it. And oh, just a side note on this gun. So, as I mentioned, I didn't have any information about this gun when I bought it, and reached out to some people, got some information, some of it correct, some of it not. But since then, I have been in contact with the head gunsmith at Cardinal Arms. He has been awesome, but he can't tell me who they do work with or not. There's our NDAs on that, but he has been very helpful. So one thing is, if you have seen this gun on their Instagram page, it does have a different trigger shoe. So the one on the Instagram is their prototype trigger shoe, and this one is obviously the production model. So that's just a little tidbit, and they're always going to be making very limited quantities of this gun. So if you can get your hands on one of these, I promise you will not be disappointed. I am so in love with this pistol, and this is gonna be my go-to gun for a little while. I love this thing. So I'm just very impressed with it, and it's been a lot of fun to shoot. The weight and balance on this thing, and the way it feels in my hand, and then the way it shoots, the return to zero, everything is, and the aesthetic of it, I just love this gun. I can't even tell you, but I'm just ranting now. But let's get back to the topic at hand, which is trigger weight on this hex. Let's see what that comes out at. That's like 1.75, maybe, right around there. 1.8, maybe, right around there, a little over 1.75. Same, 1.8-ish. So I think this thing registers a little light. Like, it was registering my Erebus at 8 ounces, which it is a very light trigger, but maybe not 8 ounces. I don't know. It's probably a little on the light side, but because this doesn't quite feel that light. It feels lighter than the TWC 9, but it's got a great break. Very little take up, and then very nice crisp break. The reset. No, it's a little sluggish, maybe. A little sluggish reset, I would say. Let's do that again. I mean, it's okay, it's acceptable, but it's a little, there's a little drag in it. It's not like that clean push back, like this one. The Cardinal is quiet. It's not real forceful, but it's short and pronounced. I would say the TWC 9 may have a better reset. The reset on this is just a little sluggish. It's okay, but a little sluggish. There's like a little drag in it. But we'll see. Maybe after shooting a couple mags, put some rounds through this thing, that'll break in a little better. But so I'd say this is just about probably a 2-pound trigger. I mean, maybe this thing's accurate and this is like a 1.8, but it doesn't feel like that to me. It's light, but not quite that light. It's a nice trigger. And I do like the trigger shoe, the change to the trigger shoe. The slide cuts are the same as the TWC 9. Everything else is the same. It does have, you know, what they say is a flared magwell, which I'll give them that, but I like a big magwell like this, like an actual add-on. I'm not a big fan of the grip module just flaring. I would much rather have an actual added separate piece that you add on. So I don't think they offer that, but I haven't even looked. I gotta double check that. Maybe they do sell an additional magwell, and if you threw some black on right there, I think it would look really good too. But there's just that kind of green, black. I like stuff like that. So hopefully they make it. I do like that they kept the main spring housing and the grip safety in black. I think that's a good touch. Ambi safeties, thumb safeties, they're nice, and they're not too easy to flip, but not too hard. I like that. They're very easy to use. it feels good in hand. This is a better feeling gun than the TWC9. And if anyone's wondering, TWC9 stands for throwback with capacity. So, in reference to the 1911. It's an interesting name. And I met these guys at SHOT Show, like I said. I believe Jay was the guy that I spoke with. He was very helpful, went through the whole gun. Cool company. I'm just a big fan of more product available on the market. Now, it can get saturated, but it's weird because the 2011 space, there's all these manufacturers that are making high-end guns, and they don't have huge production levels, so it takes a long time to get the gun. And they're expensive. Some of these guns, not $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, and there's a year wait to get one. So there's that many people trying to get their hands on that expensive of a gun, which to me indicates that the demand far exceeds the supply. So having companies like Jacob Grey come in where they're a much more reasonable price point. You know, these things are like $3,500, which is not cheap by any means, but compared to some of these like really high-end guns where you're paying $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, it's good to get some mid-level players. And that is, as well as the gun that I showed in a more recent video, that Mac 9 DS Duty Comp, and that's $1,000. I'm testing that currently. I'm trying to get my hands on the Girsan 2311 Match X, and that is kind of a staccato XC type gun as well, but I cannot find that thing anywhere. So Girsan, if you see this video, get in contact with me. I need to get a Match X. But anyways, that's just my kind of thoughts on the 2011 space. The more players, the more somebody comes in, does something for cheaper, drives down the whole price. I think that's fantastic. And then you still have the upper guys charging what they charge. They're always going to be at that position, I believe. Just doing it really good. And then there's the support products, right? So that leads me to this next piece, which this gun comes with a 17 round flush fit magazine. And if you watch the channel, you know that I prefer the base plates. I think that's a better look. But these 17 rounders, this is what a lot of guns come with. I don't like them. I like as much capacity as possible, and I think it looks better with that base plate. But something very cool that was sent to me, which solves half that problem, is Checkmate reached out and they sent me this magazine, which this is the 17 rounder. You can see that on the back. And it is the same size, 126 millimeters, as the 17 rounder, except this guy is a 19 round magazine. So I don't know what kind of witchcraft they have over at Checkmate, but 19 rounds, 17 rounds. Now that is pretty cool. So Checkmate, do it to the 140 millimeters so I can get 23 rounds in there and still have it be that size. But Checkmate, I think you did a heck of a job, at least in theory. I haven't used these yet, so I'm going to test this at the same time I test this. But if this thing is functional with 2 more rounds in the same 126 millimeter, that is awesome. So, like I said, I don't know how you fit 2 more rounds in the same size magazine, but let's see. It must just be a tad wider. I mean, maybe to the eye I can see that. Still feels like it goes in perfectly fine. I'm gonna have to get my calipers out and really measure these dimensions, but getting 2 more rounds in a 17 round magazine, I think is fantastic. 126 millimeter mag with 2 more rounds, awesome. I'm gonna get this out on the range, and if this thing works, I think this is a just absolute knockout product. We'll see, but Once again, it solves half the problem because you're getting 2 more rounds, but I still like that look more. So once again, Checkmate, do it to the 140s. Give me a couple more rounds in them. Oh, before I kind of wrap up this gun, one more thing about Jacob Grey. And I've made this complaint on here before about I'll buy a gun and it doesn't come with an optic plate, and that drives me crazy, especially when you're paying the prices that these guns cost. So I want to give props to Jacob Grey. They do the best job of, I think, any company, because look at this. They give you a bag of optic plates that you can Delta Point plate, Acro plate, the RMR SRO plate, the RMSC plate, and they all come with multiple screws, and I think that is what everybody should be doing. You're paying the price for these kind of guns that not only should they come with the plate you want, they should come with all the plates. I think that is just a great thing that Jacob Grey does. So that will wrap up this gun, which is the Jacob Grey TWC Hex. Very excited to get this out and test it against the TWC 9 and really see how effective these ports are. So that's the Jacob Grey. Okay, the next gun, last gun we're going to talk about is a really cool gun. I've been watching this thing online, waiting for its release, and it is here finally, and that is the Springfield Kuna. So I've been playing with subguns as of late, so to get this little guy is very cool. The only thing I don't love about it is the Strike Industries brace. It's not my favorite brace, but that is a easily solvable issue. But this is a 9mm roller delayed blowback, has 30 round mags, so 30 plus 1, 6-inch barrel, and I'll kind of walk through how I have it set up. So this is my OSS Rad 9, which is kind of my go-to 9mm can subgun, particularly because it has the tri-lug. And then I did put a Mod Light PLHV2 18350, and I'm operating that with this little mod button. There's not a lot of rail space on this, and particularly because these are cool, but they eat up some rail space. They have these built-in flip-up sights, which nice backups. I don't use iron sights ever, but nice to have in case the optic was to go down. But they do eat up a little bit of rail space. So having this, it was kind of had to go through several options to find the right switch. And mod buttons are always the right move when you have limited rail space. So did a good job. I did run this Arisaka Picatinny mount and put a little piece of SLR Picatinny in that M-lock. And then this is a little Arisaka finger index. Then I'm running an Aimpoint Micro T2 on the ScalarWorks Leap mount. And other than that, I haven't really done anything else to it, but this is potentially going to be a very fun little gun. I did get my 1-point sling out, because if you saw my subgun video, trying to run that B&T APC 9K, and I didn't have a single point, so trying to run that with the 2-point sling was a mess. But I got it here because it does have a little QD cup right in the back there, very handy. So it'll just sling right like that, which is very nice. I've been waiting for this. I would like a magwell, and then full ambi. Does have bolt lock, bolt hold open, mag release on both sides, and it is the same on both sides, so it makes the manual of arms very easy. The only issue with this that I've found so far is that it comes with 2 of these 30-round mags, and they are proprietary, and you cannot get extra mags right now. They are out of stock everywhere that I have looked, and I've looked everywhere. I think production on these, they go out and the mags just fly off the shelves. So it's going to be some time, I imagine, before I'm able to get mags. Right now, I'm going to be doing a lot of reloading, but very cool little pistol, and I am excited to shoot this thing. The pistol caliber carbines are a lot of fun, and they're a great little option. Obviously, this thing folds, and you can just get this in a nice tiny little package, deploy that very easily, and go to work. So this is the Springfield Kuna. Stay tuned for those videos. I will have the Jacob Grey, I will have the Kuna video. Other than that, just stay tuned for these upcoming videos. I appreciate you tuning in. Please comment, like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. I'm Jeff for the Weapon Collective, reminding you, keep your weapons collected and keep collecting your weapons. I'll catch you next time.